What's up, everyone? So we started working on this Dewalt pressure washer. Just realized your view is probably super blurred out. Anyway, and we got the engine running pretty easily, except the pump was bad. Couldn't do anything with the pump, completely trashed. So what I did was, I unfortunately got a new one. Now let me explain. The pump that was on here was a lot better quality, I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to explain what you can do. If it's just a personal one, I would not do this as a commercial version, and if you're going to be flipping it or using it for your home, I think this is going to be perfectly fine. I've used these pumps for many of times and it should be okay. So first, let me give you a little bit of a backstory and what I've done so far, so you can also buy your cheap pump, and why I went with it. So stay tuned for that information. Now, first off, how did I get it? Well, you have to measure the shaft. They usually come at 3/4 and 7/8. Majority of them are 3/4, but you very well might have a 7/8. So just to make sure, you're going to want to, at least for this PSI rating. There's also bigger ones, don't get me wrong, but for this general size, measure the shaft. It was 3/4. So we also look at the orientation of it. This is a horizontal shaft, not to be confused with the vertical because the pumps are different. So I typed in horizontal 3/4 inch shaft pressure washer pump. I wanted to stick with the 3000 PSI, and I found one that was 3000 PSI, had everything else, and when you look for it, you need to make sure that your engine is satisfactory. So we need to look at this. It is a GX160. I was lucky in the fact that when I looked at the pump, it literally gave me saying that it was okay with the GX160. You very well might get pretty lucky with that too. If you have a Honda, majority of the time, pressure washer listers or whatever they are, want to give you pretty much a, I don't want to say guarantee, but they wanted to give you reassurance that your engine's going to be okay. So mine said what was it? GX160. It was fine, and so I felt it was okay to go ahead and purchase it. If you do not have a GX160, don't worry. It also gave a horsepower rating. Figure out how much horsepower you have, and then figure out if the pump is able, if it's able to run with the pump. So you should be good to go. To be honest, unless you have a really small one like a 140cc or 120. 160 is probably on the lower end, but you can get away with it. 190 would be a little better. Predator 212, whatever, or whatever the remarking of that 212 would be, they're all going to be pretty much okay with these style of pumps. I did get it on Amazon, just going to put that out there. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to get some anti-seize. I got lucky in the fact that the key, it's already in there, but when you order a pump, you should be able to get the key with it. It usually comes in a little baggie. The baggie will also usually come with mounting hardware. In this situation, just because I know this hardware works, I'm going to use the mounting hardware that came with the old pump. They're not that much different, and I don't feel like it would be, I personally think this is probably a better quality hardware, so I'd much rather use that instead. And they're just 4 bolts. So I'm going to go ahead and get some anti-seize and we'll get started. Okay, unfortunately we ran into a snag. I remember I did have anti-seize and I used it at a friend's house. We were doing a project that required it, and I'm about 99% sure I left it there. So probably the better next solution is I'm just going to spray some silicone lubricant on the shaft. It would be better with anti-seize. Basically what you want is, this is the pressure washer, it's going to get rusty, there's water that's going to get in there. That's the purpose of a pressure washer. You want to put something there to kind of inhibit rust. And WD-40 is a little too thin. I don't really want to put motor oil. ATF is way too thin. You have to put, I don't really want to put grease, because grease and water isn't all that great, and I don't really have any water type of grease right now. So this is going to be the next best option in my mind, so I'm just going to spray it on there and we'll get to work. So now that is lubed up, if you look inside here, you can see there's a little keyway. Now we need to get the keyway So it is kind of facing the same way. I'm just going to put my thumb in there and not be able to move it. Maybe a little screwdriver action will help out. Hopefully this isn't a bad pump. I usually can move it with my hand. Now it's moving. Okay. I just think it was a little bit on the stiff side. Now I can move with my hand. Okay. So, the inlet needs to, well, I guess this is the inlet. The inlet and the outlet need to be facing ideally up and away, because you kind of want this to be facing down. Now you could move this around. I just don't like doing that. So I'm just going to put it up like so. You just line the keyway up with the shaft, and then you push it on, realign those holes, and then we take our mounting hardware, and we're going to put only a couple threads in at a time, not for even pressure or anything, which wouldn't be a bad idea, but we mainly just don't want to tighten one down and not be able to get the rest of them in. Once you get two of them in though, it should be fine. Now I would recommend doing opposite when you tighten these down, just so you don't put like a load or kind of like arc it to the side. You don't really want to put any uneven pressure on the pump. So I'm gonna go ahead, get that tightened down, and then we'll be set. I guess while we're here, I'll explain a little bit more on the lock, or why I chose the mounting hardware I did. Like I said, it came with the machine, so this is the one that already worked. And secondly, the mounting hardware came with the pump was actually smaller. I don't think I get nearly as much thread engagement, which, to be honest, I don't really think is 100% necessary. You're not like, the forces pushing out on it isn't nearly as much, but this will spin, so you want to make sure it is. I'm not going to like break off the bolts or anything. So will you need longer ones? No, but probably the most odd part about it is the one that came with this pump had absolutely no lock washers on there, and I feel like that is actually probably a pretty important thing. So I wanted to put lock washers on. The old one came with lock washers, so I'm using the old ones. And the quality, I don't know what the quality is of the other ones, to be honest. So until I know the quality, I'd rather use the ones that I know work just fine, and the ones that Dewalt knows work just fine. So that's why I did that. So as reference, this is a 1/2 inch. And we're just gonna sink the last one down. Something that it did come with is a soap hose. If you don't know what a soap hose is, it goes right about there. And if you ever need to clean something with soap or some type of other solution, like for instance, today I noticed I was watching something on, I don't remember what it was, and someone was showing that a pressure washer and using this soap attachment, they just sprayed their old looking fence in whatever chemical it was. Apparently you can find it on Amazon too. Made it look like brand new. I don't know if that's really real, maybe just a bunch of crap, I don't know. But if you did want to, give that a try, you could. I don't think you can actually see it, but that's the port right there. Not to be confused with this one. That's not the right one. So I'm going to take off that old one, put the new one, and then we'll be good to go. Something I did mention that would explain what the purpose was of this pump and not a normal one. The normal one is At the time, it was $200, and I don't remember, it was $29 or $19 just for the pump. The hose that came with this had a hole in it. Okay, so you can repair it. I would never do that though, never repair a hose, but to save money, a repair could be done. I don't like doing that, so that's pretty much out of the question for me. In addition to that, I tested the wand, because it came with a wand, and the wand, as soon as I plugged it into a normal pressure washer, in fact, it's that one right there, I know it works, it instantly started to leak. And you can repair that, except there was a crack down the center of the wand, and while that wasn't causing the leak, it was causing the structural integrity to be not very good, and you don't want it to break. So now I need a pump, a wand, and a hose. I could buy a cheap wand and hose, which case I did. Those two were actually on sale. It was like $60 for the pair. Not that bad. Pretty decent wand. I've used it once before, and not the highest quality, but it gave me no problems. Then the pump was $67. Round up to 70, so $70 plus $60, that's already less than just one pump. And even though this is a Dewalt, I won't be able to sell this for probably more than $200, and that's if I'm lucky. Used machines here don't exactly sell for a huge premium, maybe right now because it is pressure washing season, but not a huge premium. New ones are about $400, I believe. Could be off. I don't really 100% remember what the price was at Home Depot last time I checked, but it's been a while too. So usually $200 is where it's going to be sitting at. This machine technically is free for me. However, there's a little bit of a story behind that, and I can get in there, but there needs to be at least some type of profit. And a 200 something pump plus a 60 something wand and gun would give me negative money, and I'd rather have a homeowner use this, have a good working machine for a couple years, have a really good discounted price, because the engine's fine. I mean, buying this for $200 in comparison to $400, and you're going to have it for like 5-10 years, that's not that bad. Now, if you bought the one at Home Depot for like $400, you could probably have a little bit longer, assuming you don't do something ill-advised, like leaving water in it throughout the winter or something. Not a good idea. So this is a good option. It's relatively inexpensive. I purchased this pump, exact same one, about 4 or 5 times. I've never had one come back. And I tell the people too when they buy it, this is a brand new pump. That it came with a 90-day return back guarantee. So let me know if it's within 90 days. If it's over that, let me know, and I'll see if I can't do something about it. Not going to guarantee, but I will at least try. Never got one back. So we'll leave it at that. I'm going to go ahead and leave you with this. If you like what you see, keep watching, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at SmallEngine101. This helps you out. Put a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot as well. And if you want any personalized help with anything like this, I do offer memberships. Consider becoming a member. But having said that, we have a new pressure washer pump installed at DeWalt 3000 PSI DXPW 3025. Pretty easy process. 3/4 inch, boom, done. Have a good night.